So recently I've been testing a bunch of different types of builds on Ghostface to see what he really excels at outside of the very obvious gen regression meta that is currently going on. And I think that I may have found one of Ghostface's strongest builds and one of his most fun builds to run in a game. This build is quite outside the meta considering it only includes one true gen regression perk, but I think that on a killer like Ghostface and his playstyle, the amount of information that you get out of this build is really helpful, and it makes this build very viable alongside the improvements to his chase potential that you get, meaning there is a lot of wiggle room for different playstyles to fit into, adapt to, and try out this build while still seeing quite consistent success. Now before I go ahead and show you the build, there's a couple things I want to address really quickly. I won't take up much of your time. The first of which being, I'm sorry if I sound really nasally or off in this video. I was really ill when I was recording this video and I still haven't got over it during this voiceover. So if you do hear me breathing or my voice sounds a bit weird at any point in this video, I am really sorry. I tried my best to get it all cut out in the editing phase, but that would mean that if I cut every single part out, then we would be missing some quite key points in the video, which I couldn't afford to lose. But I did get most of it out, if not all of it. I'm just apologising in advance in case I missed anything. The other thing I wanted to address just really quickly is I'm sorry about the lack of PTB videos, as I said that I would put out. I was really busy with my birthday and other life events during that time frame, which meant that I didn't really get much PTB content at all to really show off the new killer or anything on the Myers rework. But I promise that videos on both of those things will be made as soon as that update hits live servers. It should also be said here that I have restarted streaming on Twitch after my little break that I had after the incident that I had. So if that's something that interests you, please feel free to stop by, the link will be in the description. But with all that being said, let me show you this build. Our first perk will be Franklin's Demise, which means whenever we hit a survivor with a basic attack, their item will be dropped on the floor. Ghostface's marked downs actually count as basic attacks, which means Franklin's will still work even if the survivor is marked. Now Franklin's did technically get nerfed recently, but it actually works just as well, if not better, when you pair it with this next perk, Weave Attunement. Weave Attunement makes it so that survivors within 12 meters of a dropped item will have their aura revealed to you. This works even better because since the Franklin's nerf, survivors are more likely to come back to pick up their items because they're not being depleted anymore. Now while Frank Weave on its own isn't anything new or anything that hasn't been done before, the next two perks are really good on Ghostface and really tie this build together. The next perk we will be bringing is Surge, which means whenever we down a survivor with a basic attack, any gen within 32 meters of that survivor will blow up and immediately lose 8% of its progress. As I said before, markdowns count as basic attacks, so this perk is truly exceptional on Ghostface. And for our final perk, we will be bringing Rapid Brutality, which means that we can no longer gain Bloodlust, but every time we hit a survivor with a basic attack, we gain 5% haste for 10 seconds. And then of course, very standard for add-ons, we'll be bringing Olsen's Wallet, which means that we regain our Night Shroud immediately whenever we break a pallet or a breakable wall. And then we'll be bringing the Drop Leg Knife Sheath, which allows us to get 10% movement speed bonus for 5 seconds after marking a survivor. This video was incredibly fun to make, so I really do hope you enjoy it as much as I enjoyed making it. Make sure to check out my Twitch, the link will be in the description, and with all that being said, let's get straight into the video. Okay, and so we are in on the game to test out this Frank Weave build, or to showcase this Frank Weave build that I have been using. Now the game is one of my preferred maps on Ghostface. I know there's a lot of pallets and the Ghostface isn't very good at an anti-loop per se, but I don't tend to... Okay. I don't tend to chase much as Ghostface, I say as I'm entering a chase with the Ghostface. But I really like the game I stalk and my injuries quite early beforehand. Now Rapid Brutality kind of changes that. It means that you can kind of get away with a bit more of a chase, but not too much. It is still important to remember to get injury states and to get stalk meters early on in the game, else you will struggle to keep your pressure. That's Steve stalking me, it is as well. Right, so we're not going to have anything to do with that Steve. Gen pops there, they probably tripled on that gen to be honest, that was way too quick. So now we know that all three of them are up here and around here somewhere. So now if we can play the game a little bit more strategically here. As you can see, we've got a hit on the Steve, so now we're getting weave value. Because we saw where Steve's dropped item is. So now we can see they're all going through there. That's a perfect area to have it actually, because it's quite a high traffic area. So we're going to full stalk the Meg here. We're going to go for all four of them are grouped up here. We're going to down the Steve. And we actually are going to try and get this pick. Oh, never mind. We're going to search a locker. We actually are going to get this pick. Steve has boil over. Right, this is kind of annoying because now I've lost the hook that I want. I'm just going to let him wiggle. Right, now Steve's item is still down, which tells me that they either haven't noticed the fact it's weave or do not care about the fact it's weave. Or mysterious third option, but they don't know what weave is or does. Okay, now I'm getting scratch marks over here. And over here. Okay, so they're probably going to be on this gen here, if I had to guess. Oh, they're going all the way around. Yep, there we go. Right, so here's the Wii value again. There we go. He swaps his item for the flash. I'm going to wait this out. We actually might swing this. There we go. See, sometimes patience is a virtue that you need in Dead by Daylight. Sometimes patience can pay off more than you'd imagine. Although it's important to try and get things done quickly, being patient in instances like that and not panicking, freaking out, just trying to go for a chase, you can often get a lot of value from being patient in this game. Especially on a killer like Ghostface. This gen is looking scary close, so we're just going to get a swing on Steve there. And we are going to... Oh! Okay, well it looks like they're both here. We could use Rapid to chase that, but I think that we should probably kick the gen, get it regressing. And now we have 2 injuries, which is some decent pressure for us. Not going to worry too much about the stalk. We're going to keep it in stealth mode here. So he's going to run us upstairs. We are going to follow this, actually, I've decided. We are going to chase this, because I don't think he's got much to work with. He's not going to make it to anything here. And he goes down. Surge pops on 3 gens. Good surge value there. And if nothing else, if you don't get any value out of Rapid from chasing and from kind of hunting down the survivors, you would at least get Rapid from downing them. Right, now this is perfect. Weave goes through floors, so now that we can see that there is what I believe to be the Meg, yep, is working on this gen down here. There we go, perfect. Right, now Meg is going to W key over to this tile instead. Again, chasing on Ghostface is hardly ideal, but we have quite a sufficient amount of pressure. Now, it's important to note, Rapid Brutality means we will not gain Bloodlust, which means that sometimes chases like this are bad to stick to, which is why I'm going to leave this now. We're going to come over here, kick this gen, and go back into stealth mode, and we're going to try and hopefully reset what we just made. Now, I do know that the Meg is coming this way, and we jump scare the Meg off there, which is another way Weave can be used, because we saw the aura of Meg running towards us, using one of the dropped items over here, and we knew that she'd be coming straight back for her gen, so all we had to do is go into stealth mode, again, be a bit patient, and she ran straight into us. I feel bad for that Meg, I probably have just scared the absolute living daylights out of her. You know the Steve was last seen in this room? He's waiting by the pallet. I don't think we'll get any stalk on Steve, at least not anything meaningful. No. Right, so we're going to leave Steve there. And instead we're going to where are we going to go? Okay, yeah, we're going to run back over here. Okay, so Meg is currently stuck there on the hook. We get a hit there on the Nick Cage. Meg is here, probably... I'm not going to tunnel the Meg. I was going to say Meg's probably trying to take a hit, but unless she's got off the record, I think Meg just goes down there. Instead, we're going to push on this Nick Cage. He goes down, we get more surge value on 2 different gens, I believe. And since the Franklin's nerf, they would be more incentivized to go and pick back up their items, because their items don't deplete on the ground anymore, which means that they're more likely to go and pick them back up, so we get more weave value. But even if they don't, as you can see... Oh, Meg's here. Even if they don't, you can still see that we get plenty of value out of it. And that was a long swing. I didn't think I was going to get that. Now, we do need to keep in mind... Oh, Meg DCs. We do need to keep in mind that the Steve has boil over. So here we go now. He knows I'm here. We're going to try and stalk him up to 99. There we go. Now, it's unfortunate that we can't full expose the Steve alone here. But the Steve is now 99'd. The Quentin is injured. And both of them are grouped up here. So I am actually going to wait out my stealth mode here. If he vaults his pallet, I'll break and get it back straight away. And then we're going to full stop. Oh, they're cutting corners again. Okay, so we're going to switch targets to the Nick Cage because he is 99. Use the drop leg Night Sheath. And he goes straight on that window. Surge value again. Right, so now we know that the Quentin is behind us. He might have been going for a flash save there. Seems that way, yes. Okay, so now the Nick is dead, which means that we are going to have, I imagine, a much easier time this game. Because 3 survivors doing things is always worse than 4. We're not going to go for a swing on that. I'm not going to waste any time. We're going to vault straight down into it. And there's nothing here for the Quentin. We're trying beta dead hard. Yep, there we go. Okay, so here we are shoving this Quentin on the hook. And now I believe... Oh, Steve's here. Now we are going to get the full stalk on the Steve to get the drop leg. Steve drops the pallet. He just threw it. I think he was thinking I was going to double back. Now we get the Steve on hook. And it's the Meg who is down there. There's the Quentin, the Meg ran the other way, so we're going to follow after the Meg scratch marks. But see, Frank Weave is even useful for info like that, where we can just see who is running in that direction. If we see an unhook, and somebody is revealed with Weave, and we don't want to go after the person that's just been unhooked, we want to go after the person that's done the unhook, we know which one's which. Now this is where rapid brutality isn't ideal, because right now I couldn't have bloodlusted that. Okay, so we're going to keep chasing the Meg here. Now we can't get bloodlust with rapid, but the speed boost from the M1 can be very helpful if you are going to try and commit to a chase as Ghostface, which I don't think I've really done much of this game, but it just means that you can take more of those risky chances. So we're just going to hard go after this Meg bot, and I don't even know how to explain what she thought was happening there. Okay, so we're going to move over to this hook here. We have found the Steve. Does Steve have Saboteur? Oh, I don't make it to that hook, do I? That's close. Oh, wow, that was really close. Okay. Well, Meg is now dead. We get more Weave value. We can see exactly where he is and see where he's going. I'm going to stalk on the Steve. We can see the Steve's holding that kind of check spot there. Now, he's not going to know where I am. We're going to try and use patience here, but he might genuinely just wait this out. Okay, we were waiting for way too long there, but we ended up doing it. The Steve wasn't expecting us to just jump out like that. I think he was half envisioning in his head that we had left, but he wasn't sure enough to commit. But it definitely slipped his mind that we might pull something like that. Now, Steve is on second hook. The Quentin is on death hook. So if we can find the Quentin before he gets to the Steve, then it's GG's. Now, Weave isn't great here because you can see we have 3 items there. Oh, he goes next for the Quentin to get hatch, okay. But as I was saying, we have 3 items there, which means that we don't have any info anywhere else on the map, and you do want to try, if you can help it, if there's anything you can do about it, you do want to try and get your Weave in more populated, high traffic areas. But even in situations like this, if you can just zone them into there, then you'll just have permanent vision on them, permanent aura reading. Now, while I was talking, I could have already walked past the hatch without hearing it. Where is this hatch? Oh my gosh. Oh, we found hatch, and we know he's not here because of Weave. So Quentin is not over here on this side of the map. We now have to just protect the gates, which I do think on Gideon is going to be easier said than done. On a killer like Ghostface with no mobility, trying to protect these gates can be a massive pain. And this is where Weave would be helpful if we could have kind of zoned them into these general areas so we could have seen some more aura reading. Oh no, we got the gates open. Okay, fair enough. We'll be friendly. I'm a friendly Ghostface. Leave. There you go. Okay. Well, there's the Frank Weave build. Overall, I think this build is very fun. It's a bit away from the meta, not for gen regression perks. I do find it very fun. I had a lot of fun using it, and yeah, I definitely would recommend it to those who play Ghostface.